Welcome back to the podcast. She Just Talks 365. Me and Trey are back, and we have another special guest today, Jackson Moore.
What's up, guys?
University of Kentucky kicker. But yeah, we're going to get into today, talk about purpose, living life on a mission. So yeah, thank you guys for joining us. All right, so Jackson Moore here today. We appreciate him for coming on. So I know Jackson. It's been really cool seeing him grow in his faith, especially recently, in recent years. So tell us how you've gotten to this point in your faith.
Yeah, for sure. So I started out normally how a lot of people start out, just coming from a Christian family. Kind of started out as like a lukewarm Christian, you know.
Yeah.
I grew up, I got baptized when I was a young kid. And then I started to like find myself a little bit in my faith. And my dad and my mom went on a mission trip to Haiti when I was in 4th grade or something like that. And it really struck me. I was like, wow, hearing just the stories that they told me. And so I reached out to my parents, had the conversation with them, and I ended up going on a mission trip. You know, I started to grow my faith in that point in time. This was around middle school, early middle school. And so I went on mission trips. I went on 2 to Haiti. They were both a week-long trips. But for me, a week was plenty to open my eyes. So when I was in Haiti, what really opened my eyes was just the way that they praised the Lord. They are so happy with so little. And it makes you really like sit back and think like, wow, like we really take advantage of what we have and our relationship with God, our relationship with our parents, our friends, because a lot of them, they don't have parents. They've never known their parents. They don't know where they come from. A lot of them don't even know their names. They've never seen what they looked like. And so just going to like church there and like seeing how they praise the Lord with so little really opened my eyes a lot. And so when I got back from those mission trips, there's this thing called like traveler's guilt. And so you really sit back and you're like, wow, it takes you a couple of days to recover from that experience because it impacts you so spiritually, like internally, like it is crazy. And so I kind of just continued with my faith, and from there all the way through like middle school, and then freshman year I started to really dig deep into going into football, like trying to pursue going to the next level, going to college, and I kind of lost track of my faith.
Yeah.
So I kind of like, it was kind of like I don't know, I went through hills of emotions, yeah. And so I felt like I was like at a high spiritually, a high faithfully, and then I kind of just like dropped off like big time. I made up excuses for like, oh, I had sports, I was tired, I didn't go to church, all this stuff. And then once I realized that my dreams of coming to college were going to come true, I kind of sat back and realized, like, okay, I need to dial into my faith a little bit more because it's something that I really missed out on. Mm-hmm. So my senior year, I tried to dive back into that. You know, I went to FCA. I went to church here and there, still wasn't devoted. I didn't read my Bible. I kind of read, like, the verse of the day on, like, the Bible app or whatever. But coming here, I really didn't know what to expect with my faith. You know, I kind of thought I was in a good spot, and looking back at it, like I was making progress, but I'm a lot farther on now than I realized I was going to be. Yeah. I got here, and Hayden actually is the one that introduced me. He invited me one day to church, and that's really what I needed, was just somebody reaching out to me, because you know, on your own, it's hard to do a lot of things, like working out on your own. You just don't have the drive.
Or the guidance.
The drive or the guidance, like somebody to keep you accountable is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't really accountable for myself in that. So he invited me to church, and I was like, okay, this is really what I need. I went to church that Sunday. So this was, only a semester ago. And I can't even tell you, like, the feeling that I had then, like, I was, like, almost in tears. Like, I felt the Spirit, like, huge that day, and like I had never felt anything like that before. And ever since then, I've just been striving for that every single day, and chasing the Lord, growing my relationship with Him. And I'm really, really happy with where I am now and where I am to become, because there is so much that you can do and so much that you can unlock. And I just want to continue to grow in my faith. And I feel like I've made a huge step from where I was not even like half a year ago.
Right.
So that's kind of been my testimony. Is I've kind of gone through the ups and downs. I was at such a high and then such a low, and then now I'm working my way back up, and it's just amazing.
No, I mean, especially in front row to this, is one of my best friends is Jackson. So it's been really cool to see you grow, man. I'm really proud of you about that, and I'm glad to see you've come to the Lord. It's been really cool. I think it's one of those things. It's like now it's like I can see it snap for you. It's like a life changing thing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You're out of that cycle. But getting back to the mission trip thing, which was first of all really cool, really eye opening to see. I think that I love the idea of how selflessness really gives more than being selfish. You know what I mean? Especially biblically. Oh my gosh.
Biblically.
Biblically. But yeah, no, it's truly an important thing. And hearing your testimony about that, and as I've started to like grow more in service, it's been a big thing for me personally. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, Trey, you've been more active, I feel like, in service as well recently too.
Yeah, I feel like when you're able to take that emotion that you feel on your own and you're able to share it with other people and watch it impact their lives, I feel like it's so much more powerful, because then you can just not only see God at work for yourself, but it just feels good to know that he's using you as a vessel to spread that love and spread that message to other people, and really open their eyes in times where they might really need it and they don't even realize it.
I mean, especially even hearing that testimony, like I didn't know all the ins and outs of your story and stuff too. So it's cool to see how like a simple thing like that, a service, like, hey, you want to come to church with me, like really change your life.
Oh yeah, completely flipped it. And something about like the mission trips that like I know we've talked about before is like we go there as like missionaries to serve. You spread the gospel, you teach the word, and you also do manual labor.
Yeah.
A lot of manual labor. And like the craziest part is you go there and do so much, like a week's worth, and you end up coming back more changed than what you changed.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that before, like how crazy it is. Like as missionaries, you literally put like your whole life into like a whole week or a whole year, however long you're there, and you end up coming back more changed than you changed them. And it's ridiculous.
Well, no, I mean, like that's something I wanted to go on more mission trips, especially in college. It's hard with sports. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like I was gonna go to Egypt this year actually with FCA, but it's dead middle of our workout, so that got shut down quick. But no, I mean, I really do think that. I mean, in Psalms it talks about this. In Psalms 73:26, it says, "My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and the portion of my forever." Like feeding yourself is never going to be able to fully satisfy you, fulfill you. I mean, at times you're going to have things that are going to temporarily satisfy you, but like when you have a give mindset, like you said, you're going to get more than you give.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're going to get more than you give, which is ironic. Most people don't think that way.
Yeah. And
In the mic, little bro.
if you call me little one more time.
No, but I mean, it really is a truth. I feel like there's a truth to it. Like I've started trying to direct my focus almost towards giving more and being more and like, okay, God, lead me where you want me to take me. Like focus on where he wants me to go. And it's really, it changes you in ways you can't expect. Like the way you feel more filled. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I feel like spiritually, again, going back to the, feeling filled spiritually, we absolutely want to make sure that, hey, we're taking care of what we need to take care of, and, we're on the right path. But again, just seeing other people, how your guidance, whether you even realize you're guiding them or not, just seeing how it impacts them and how it leads them to feeling that same kind of peace that you're at. Even when you aren't at peace per se, seeing their peace, it can almost help you find your peace.
Trying to give
again.
them peace.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And another thing with like the mission trips that like I feel like I seek a lot is not only the work aspect and like giving and also receiving, but like when you're there, like the spirit is just like in the air.
Bro.
Like you wake up every single day with like so happy, so ready to go. Like you're waking up at 6 a.m., but you're going up at 6 a.m. and you're juiced. Like you're ready for the day, and like you're eating like protein bars and like bread and peanut butter. Like either that or you're eating some like animal that you have no clue where it's coming from. And you're living like how they live there, and it's a real culture shock, to be honest, because you come from these nice neighborhoods, nice houses. Oh yeah, like I came from like a warm shower, and then the next day I was trickling out of a hose that was attached to a wall that was freezing cold. And it's like, you know, you have these things like you have a little food, like you're exhausted, it's hot. You have to like, as soon as you get out of the shower, you have to lather yourself in bug spray because like so many bugs and diseases, and like you have to sleep in these nets. Like you wake up spotted from like bugs, and the sacrifices that you make, like those, they don't even cross your mind when you're there because you're just happy to be there, and you're just so happy and like so juiced to just serve. And I think that was like one of the coolest things because like I catch myself in a cycle of like complaining a lot, especially nowadays, with like early morning workouts and like yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Or
Don't get me started on those.
Or like when you just walked in about how long practice was, like it's just like it starts to get you, and then like so I strive to just like I miss those times or miss those weeks where I was just like there was not a worry in the world except for just I was just having fun, serving, and just being with the Lord.
And so I feel like another thing we need to talk about is that you can be like this, and I think going on mission trips in different countries is a huge thing, especially in how blessed we are in America. But you don't have to be in ministry to necessarily be on mission. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to go serve in a church. You don't have to be a pastor or whatever to be able to live a life and be on mission for Christ, or to have to be in, like, Haiti. Do you know what I mean? Like,
you can do that every day with the people around
your
you.
mission field is where you currently are. And having that aspect of, okay, who am I going to influence today? Because people don't realize you're either influencing someone towards Christ or away from Christ. There's, like, no in between. There really is. And I feel like people try to make it in between, but your interactions are in some way, like, it might not impact them at the end of the day, but it's either going to be like Christ or not like Christ. And so when you realize that, be like, okay, how am I going to impact this person today? Am I going to let my tongue slip, my anger reroute, or am I going to show them the love or compassion that Christ would show?
And when you find yourself able to, again, just show that love to other people, sometimes, like, kind of similar to what we were talking about earlier, like, sometimes it's all about extending that hand, and whether you realize you're extending the hand or not, or whether you realize how badly they need that hand extended, nonetheless, once you do it, I mean, there's just so much growth that comes from it from both ways. Because, I know personally, at least, when I could just be doing the same thing that I feel like I always do. And I do like Bible devotionals, and I'll do Bible study, write about it. And, I might think, hey, I'm doing this for me because, I want to make sure I'm in the Word. But then even in doing something as simple as just posting it on my Snapchat or something, other people are seeing it. And then next thing you know, I'll get a message, and they'll be like, hey, I just wanted to thank you for that. Or I'm going to buy a Bible today. What kind of Bible should I get?
Right.
And little things like that, to where that's not even what your intention was, but just knowing that it positively impacted somebody towards Christ. And there's just so many different ways you can do that too. It doesn't have to be through a Bible study. It can just be through your kindness.
Right.
Just showing somebody love, just saying, God bless you. Or
they see the joy of Christ in you.
Yeah. There's just so many ways to do it. And once you figure out what the way is for you, or at least at this moment in your life, or whenever you decide to really focus on it, it's just so powerful and something that's worth investing in.
We forget, we go through a lot of cycles, and sometimes we become complacent in our cycles in life. And I feel like, especially as athletes, that's something that's hard. Wake up, football, school, sleep, wake up. You know what I mean? And you forget that Christianity comes out of the Bible study. It's different than just going to church. It comes out of, if you're a Christian, definition of a Christian is a follower of Christ. And if you're truly following Christ, it leaves just those areas. It doesn't leave those areas. It's not confined into that certain space when you're studying the Bible or being in His presence. Jesus went out and served. Jesus went out and spread love. A lot of Christians, we forget that, okay, we can't just be Christians while we study the Bible, or just be Christians when we go to church on Sundays. Or no, it's supposed to take over your life.
You can't get caught in that cycle of what your routine is, per se, is your normal life. I know for me personally, at least, and this is something that, I've been struggling with it this week. Right.
And we aren't saying this as we're better than you while we struggle with this too.
No, I promise you, there's so much. And I'm man, I wish I could lock in on that.
Right.
But when you're so focused on the cycle instead of the process and how God's bringing it through you, bringing it. Whoa! Oh, I had it and I lost it. Okay.
Hold on, take a deep breath. Dear God, please let Trey remember. Amen.
Watch this.
See, watch this. See, look.
When you're so focused on the cycle to where you're not even able to enjoy the process and how God's bringing you through it, you lose sight of him, and it makes everything so much harder. And like I'm speaking for me personally right now, but I'm sure there's so many of y'all that go through it too. But like right now, like I know what my goal is. I know what my goals are. I see the opportunity. I have that vision, and I feel like, and I want to do everything in my power to get there. And it's frustrating because sometimes, you know, you feel like you put in all the work to get where you want to be at, but sometimes the results, you just have to be patient for them. And when you're not patient, you get angry. And then you're like, well, God, why won't you open this door for me? But sometimes that door is not always meant to be open right when you want it to be open. So, again, back to not getting caught up in the cycle, when you can just trust in the process that he's put you through, that he has you on, and trust in his plan, and next thing you know, you'll be where you want to be. And then you'll be like, dang, like, I get why you didn't let me have that then, because I wouldn't be able to enjoy it the way that I have it now.
Whew. Yeah. I went through that huge during the recruiting process. I don't know about like y'all for baseball or for you for football.
I'm sure we went through the same thing because
Yeah.
our
Recruiting
sucks.
sucks.
Our
Yeah.
recruiting stories
I
are
hate
crazy.
The recruiting process, for all y'all out there, the recruiting process is not
It
fun.
is a pain in the
Like,
butt. Unless
like-
you're just like some 5-star middle schooler.
Yeah.
You already know.
even then, like you could be a 5-star, and it still is not fun. And so I went through that a lot with, just like you said, being patient and trusting in the plan. There was a lot of times where I didn't get any offers till after my senior season, and I got really late offers. I committed really late, and as a kicker, especially, it's a struggle because we're the last. So I went through a really struggle time where I was in the cycle of just like I wasn't myself at all. Like my parents, my friends, they all like recognized that like I was just a completely different person. I was like a zombie. Like I just woke up, went to school, worked out, came home, went to bed, got in that cycle. And it's just like, I never really, as much as I wanted to trust in the plan, it was so hard for me to, because it was taking so long. And like, that was a big moment in my life where I really learned to be patient, because I don't know about y'all, but I'm not a very patient person in general.
None of us really are. Yeah.
So being patient for something that like you work so hard for and you strive for like that, and just putting all your trust in the Lord and just like laying your life down for him, like knowing that he's got you and he's got a plan for you, and no matter like where you end up or what you end up doing, like it's a part of his plan. That was a big pill for me to swallow. Just knowing that, okay, it may happen, it may not, but it's all in God's plans.
I promised myself I wouldn't get off topic, but we're going to continue on to this topic because it's really good talk right now.
That's
But
just how we flow.
It's how it works. But no, I heard this, like, I think it was an FCA retreat. And it was like, we all have this set plan. A lot of times we tell God, right? God, I want to play Division I football. God, I want to play in the MLB. God, I want to kick at a big time university. Like, we all have this plan of like what we want to do. And we tend to forget that when we can't get mad at God when that plan falls apart. Because at the end of the day, if you're getting mad at God because your plan fell apart, did you really want God or did you want his blessings on your plan?
Like, that's deep.
That's
deep.
Well, I mean, it's hard because I think, do you remember I've talked about this? It's almost selfish in a sense.
Oh, yeah.
If you really look at the dynamic of how that works, when we're getting mad at God because our plans didn't work out or our lives not turning out in the way we want it to turn out, it's almost selfish. Like, we're like, God, I want this plan. I want you along with it. But the thing is we can't have a life that Christ is just with our life. It's an addition to our life. No, we need Jesus to be the filter. We need God to filter our life. The only thing we need in our life comes through God first. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. That ambition, ambition is like a double-edged sword,
Yes.
Because
yes,
don't get me wrong, it's amazing to have. In order to be successful, you have to have that drive, that passion. Like, it should frustrate you that you're not where you want to be at, per se.
and God can use that ambition in a lot of ways
Yes.
in His kingdom.
Yes, but you can't let that frustration turn you away from God. Because when you take that frustration and you turn to God, the way your blessings multiply is insane.
Right.
Yep.
And not only that, like, I feel like a lot of times people are like, okay, well, I can't be frustrated with God, or I can't show how I'm upset towards God, because like I know I'm supposed to be honest with God, but like I can't. That's not right for me. If you read Job,
gonna let you go because I was just thinking about that when you were talking. About
If you read Job pretty much curses out God. And he's like, God, why would you allow this to happen? You're wrong. I'm good, too good for this to be happening in my life. Like just for like 20 chapters in the Bible straight. It's just him getting mad at God. And at the end of the book, God's like, and he was faithful and Job was good. And some of the people are like, what are you talking about? He just cursed you out for, God's like, he was genuine.
He continued to turn to him. He continued to pray. And him and him continuing to pray and not just turning to his own devices and trying to leave God and do it on his own. That's the big that's the whole moral of the whole story.
Right.
You know, is that no matter how hard it got and no matter how angry he was with God, he still continued to turn to God. And even while being pissed off, he was still trusting in his plan. Pissed off
at Christ and coming to Christ with that anger.
But he was still trusting in his plan because he was still turning to him.
Because he wanted God. He didn't want the blessings of God on his plan, which is so huge. And then once you learn to give that up, it's undescribable the amount of peace that comes with it. I feel like a lot of our anxiety is worrying about things that we aren't meant to control.
I had my first semester.
Jackson's over here getting happy.
First semester. You know, I got in trouble at baseball. I got in trouble with baseball because I was early to lip. I wasn't early enough. And I remember.
We have the funny story. We have to interject.
Actually, yeah. You tell your story first, and then I'll go back.
This is the funniest story of our lives. So we're talking with our friends. We're like, we have this friend, Damon. You know Damon.
Yeah.
And we're like, dude, he was on the Stairmaster today for 45 minutes. They just left him up there. And if you know the Stairmaster, that's a really long time. Like
that's what you get for being late.
Right.
That's what you get for being late.
Like people like go to the gym and do it for 15 minutes, and they're wobbling after. He was on for 40 minutes. And they're like, dude, how late was he? He was only 14 minutes early. I mean, it's
6:30 workout. Walked in at 6:16. 6:16.
We had already finished a stretch, hurdles. Like we had half of the warm. I mean, not half of the warm-up's already over. It was crazy. But back on what you were saying.
But I got in trouble for not being early enough, like Damon, for a workout one time, and I remember I got kicked out of the lift because I wasn't there early enough.
I remember you
telling me. I was
this.
pissed off about that. I was like, man, da 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 da. But you know, two of the seniors on my team, they came and they talked to me later, and one of them, he's an outfitter with me. I look up to him like a big brother. But he said he was just talking about kind of like my path in general because I had really been struggling in the fall with baseball and trying to balance it. And he was like, and you and I like even with like the inter squads and practice and all that because I just felt like I was trying to balance so much and trying to do so much on my own without really turning where I needed to turn. And he was like, dude, you having that anxiety and worrying about all these things and like not believing in whatever, like just think of it as that's just you not even trusting in God. Like he has a plan for you and you can try to keep doing all this stuff on your own. And like you might take a few steps forward, you know, you might grow a little bit, but nonetheless, you're never going to get where you want to go if you don't just give it to him.
Mm-hmm. Because the weight of life's not meant to be on our shoulders. Like God says, like, I'm supposed to take your yoke. You're not supposed to bear the burdens of knowing what your life's going to be like. You're not supposed to bear the burdens of struggling and planning your life out because you as a human were not created to do that. Yeah. But we love to control our life. We love to try to force our own plan. We love to try to make our way works, and that's how anxiety consumes us.
Yeah.
I'm going to do one of our little random, like, it has nothing to do with the podcast, but
it's against our goal.
Just make sure you know where you're going to go next, but, you know, again, the guy I was talking about, shout out Brother Walt, you know, Black History Month tomorrow. That's all I wanted to say. There we go.
Okay, so back on title. Hey, we got to stay on topic.
But you need like at least like one little random moment in the podcast to, you know.
We've had multiple.
Yeah. Well, not
Lions
today.
or grizzly bears.
Well, we had sorry, yeah, we were talking about that. Even though fighting a grizzly bear would be worse than fighting a lion. But back on topic.
Y'all are a mess.
I want to add something. Kind of what Trey was talking about. Like, I feel like in my life, I consume a lot of my anxiousness or my worries or my fears or my stress all comes from things I can't control, and it swallows me. And basically, I forgot where I was going with this. Like, I've had a lot of people, like mentors, like you said, that have told me, like,
You're good.
Hold on.
Here, I got something I think that'll help you get to where you're
Sorry.
For me, one quote that's been said to me a lot this week, and I just continue now that it's been said to me. I keep seeing it pop up places. It's be where your feet are.
Yeah, living in the moment. That's where I was going with it. That's where I was going with it. That's where I was going with it.
I told you it was going to jumpstart you.
Yeah, I tend to like worry about like my future and trying to control my future and live in my destination where I want to be, instead of putting the trust and putting the faith in God that He's gonna put me where I need to be, not where I want to be. And sometimes where I need to be is where I do want to be.
Right.
But a lot of times it's not. And like you said, just living in the moment. Like I catch myself a lot of times just sitting there thinking like I'll stress about like what I'm gonna eat for breakfast tomorrow. I'm like, why can't I just live in the moment, enjoy what I'm doing right now, and just continue to just grow?
Jesus just cooked in my brain, so give me a second. I think the story of Peter walking on water. So when we say a lot of times our anxiety is just us trying to control things that we aren't meant to control. Look at that story real quick. When Peter stepped out, he stepped out on something that he had no trust, no faith, no sight in what he was stepping on. That water isn't supposed to hold him up, right? The only reason he did is because he let go and let God. So when you step out, especially in faith and anxiety, it's almost like walking on an invisible bridge. You're not going to see where you're stepping. You're not going to see where you're going. But you know when he sank? It's because he stopped giving it to God, and he started thinking, I have to control this. I have to step on the water.
Yeah.
When you stop giving it to God and start trying to control it, that's when you're going to sink, especially in anxiety.
But I forgot exactly what he said, but he said something along the lines of, Lord, save me. Like, literally just flat out, Lord, save me. And immediately, Jesus reached his hand out, put him back on top of the water, and he kept walking. And, like, Actually,
I forgot about that part, yeah.
That's what I was looking for. And that's, like, a big thing is, like, we do, like, get stuck in our angst and, like, we do start to sink. But there's always a way out. And through Christ is
a lot of
just
time
asking for help, like, just laying your life to him.
Because you're going to sink at some point in your life. We're human.
100%.
You're going to sink. But are you going to continue to sink, or are you going to go, God save me, and reach your hand out?
And he just
grabs him.
Plucked him out of the water. There you go. Right back on top.
Boom! That was
hit.
nice.
I'm not going to lie, that hit. I'm glad you ended there because I was like, this is a perfect spot to end.
All right. So, yeah, thank you for coming on the podcast, Jackson.
Thank you guys for having me.
It was a great talk today. Couple cuts maybe, but it was...
Couple cuts.
That hit.
That was a beautiful way to end the podcast. And, no, thank you for coming on, and we'll be back soon next week.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank y'all for joining.